The topic of today's video is as intriguing as it gets. Emma Coronel Aispuro, once a beauty queen and now famously married to the notorious drug lord Joaquin Guzman Loera, also known as El Chapo, just dropped a bombshell on Instagram. What's the big deal? She posted a video call made from the prison. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, Emma is making waves from behind bars in a U.S. prison. Despite her past with El Chapo, whose notorious deeds are well known, it's her current prison life that's getting all the attention. The video posted on her Instagram, managed by a friend, shows her smiling against a plain white bricked wall. Although her face has a digital crown added for effect, you can still tell it's her. The caption is quite something too. It says, "They send greetings to you plebes," like she's passing on a message from her fans. But really, what's this video all about? Is it showing us she's got some special privileges in there, or is it just a clever move on her part? This clip has everyone talking and guessing. Emma looks calm and collected, which is a big shift from the glamorous but reserved person we usually see. Emma's story keeps us hooked, from her composed presence at El Chapo's trials to her elegant photos online. She keeps everyone guessing about her true story. Is she just the devoted wife of a notorious criminal, or is there more to her than meets the eye? Ever since she was caught, there's been a lot of gossip about whether Emma's working with the cops. Some think the not-so-harsh prison time and the perks she seems to have might mean she's made a deal with them. These are just guesses, but they fire up debates about her part in El Chapo's infamous world. Maybe she's working out some secret deal to get a lighter sentence. The buzz kicked off when some photos of Coronel in a Texas prison went viral online. These were just released, although they were taken back in January. In these pics, Emma's all smiles, sitting or standing against a plain white background, dressed in a simple gray sportswear. And there's this mystery person next to her in one of the shots. Prison rules say you can have a few personal photos, so it's all above board unless there's something fishy about this unknown person. Her release date possibly coming up on September 13th, and maybe even sooner if she keeps up good behavior. These photos popped up from inside the Texas-based Carswell prison, and now everyone's trying to figure out who's with her. People are throwing around all kinds of guesses. Could it be another inmate, someone who works at the prison, or maybe someone connected to the shady underworld, considering Emma's known links to the notorious Sinaloa cartel run by her husband El Chapo? Some are even wondering if this person might be an undercover agent or informant because of the high-profile nature of Emma's case. But really, we just don't know. It's like a big puzzle where Emma isn't just the wife of a famous criminal, she might be a major player in his schemes. As people dig into these photos, it's not just about figuring out who the mystery person is. It's about how deep the cartel's influence goes, reaching beyond prison walls and affecting lives and communities. This whole thing has become a complex story of crime, what happens as a consequence, and the ongoing hunt for the truth. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Emma's story starts in a small town called Canelas, nestled in the Sierra Madre Occidental, where she was born into the shadow of the Sinaloa cartel's influence. Her dad, Inés Coronel Barreras, and several other relatives were deep into the cartel life. Growing up in such an environment, Emma was no stranger to the darker side of the drug world from a very young age. Her life took a dramatic twist when she was just 17, during a local festival called La Fiera del Café y la Guayaba. It was at this festival, which was all about celebrating local produce, that she met El Chapo. He was already notorious by then, and his arrival at the festival was a big deal, with a whole entourage and even planes flying in. Amidst all that buzz, Emma, who was competing to be the festival queen, caught El Chapo's eye. Struck by her beauty, El Chapo didn't just see a festival queen, he saw a partner for his empire. Despite the big age gap, he picked her, and just like that, Emma's life shifted from festival fun to being intertwined with danger and power. By 17, Emma was married to one of the most feared men in the world, stepping into a life filled with both glamour and intense scrutiny. People were intrigued but also quite shocked, as they speculated a lot about why Emma would marry someone so deeply connected to danger and crime. Some thought she was just a pawn in the cartel's harsh world, pushed into marrying him. Others believed she was in on it all along, using her charm as a key player in the drug empire. Now, being married to a famous drug lord, Emma's life was anything but normal. Danger was literally a constant, uninvited guest in her life. She had to always be on the lookout to protect herself and her family from the enemies that came with El Chapo's territory. But it wasn't just external threats she had to worry about. Inside the cartel, life was a maze of power struggles and betrayals. Through all of El Chapo's legal battles and his time in prison, Emma stood by him, which really made people see her in different lights. To some, she was a victim, trapped in a life ruled by her husband's criminal activities. But others thought she was more involved, enjoying the power and benefits that came from her marriage to a drug lord. As rumors flew about her role in his daring escapes and her involvement in running the cartel, public opinion was split. Some felt sympathy for her, while others saw her in a much darker light. The really big moment in their story happened in February 2014, 13 years after El Chapo famously escaped from a top-security jail in Jalisco. Despite the long hunt and tight security, they hadn't managed to keep him locked up. Captured again, it looked like he was finally out of options until Emma came into the picture. She didn't just stand by, she took charge of planning another escape. Emma teamed up with El Chapo's 4 sons and Damaso Lopez, a former prison official turned accomplice. They held a secret meeting and laid out a plan that felt like something out of a movie. Emma's sharp planning led them to gather weapons, an armored vehicle, and a strategically located piece of land, plus a big warehouse to serve as their command center. The escape on July 11, 2015 was like a Hollywood blockbuster. They dug a tunnel right under El Chapo's cell, complete with a motorcycle waiting in a ventilated tunnel below, all planned using a GPS-equipped smartwatch Emma had helped set up. When everything was ready, Emma gave the go-ahead. El Chapo slipped through a hole under his shower, hopped on the motorcycle, and zoomed off to freedom. He emerged through a hole in the ground onto land Emma had secured, jumped into an armored truck, and was driven to a remote airstrip. From there, he flew to the rugged hills of La Tuna, Sinaloa, where Emma and their family were waiting to welcome him back, once a fugitive, but free again. Emma was the key to pulling off this wild escape, showing not just dedication to El Chapo, but a bold defiance against the odds. Even with El Chapo grabbing the spotlight with his daring moves, it was Emma's sheer determination that made their brief taste of freedom possible. When El Chapo was later caught and brought to trial in New York, Emma was there almost every day, sitting calmly in the second row, her focus fixed on the trial, an interpreter whispering in her ear. Always dressed sharply, her high heels and the scent of her perfume made a statement all their own. She told Telemundo, "I think it's what any wife would do. I want him to feel my support." Her commitment was clear, though it wasn't always easy. There were days when her usual seat was empty, which set off murmurs around the courtroom. Even El Chapo looked around, confused and concerned when she wasn't there. While she assured everyone she was still in New York, her occasional absences sparked rumors and added a layer of mystery. El Chapo, under tight security, treasured every court appearance as a chance to see Emma. He'd sometimes wave or blow a kiss to her from across the room, clinging to those moments. His lawyers even asked the judge if he could give her a quick hug before the trial started, but the judge, citing security risks, said no. El Chapo had previously made sure Emma was in California so their twin daughters could be born there, making them American citizens, and interestingly, he left his own name off their birth certificates. In an interview with Telemundo, Emma claimed she really didn't know much about her husband's illegal activities, saying his bad rep was mostly built up by the media. She mentioned that El Chapo sort of enjoyed his notoriety, seeing the worldwide coverage of his trial as a way to show everything out in the open. Throughout that interview, Emma kept a positive outlook, hoping for the best, even though she was later arrested, which pretty much shattered that hopeful image. The whole thing climaxed dramatically when El Chapo got slammed with a life sentence plus 30 years by Judge Brian M. Cogan. The trial was massive, with the jury finding him guilty on all 17 charges, which included a bunch of drug-related offenses and even a murder conspiracy. They also hit him with a whopping $12.6 billion fine, making a definitive end to his rule over a global drug empire. This was backed up by tons of seized drugs, weapons, financial records, and solid testimonies collected over 5 years. After El Chapo's sentencing, all eyes turned to Emma. As the wife of the notorious cartel boss, her consistent support during his arrest and trial caught the attention of the authorities. They started digging into her possible role in the Sinaloa cartel's operations, sparking a whirlwind of speculation about her involvement in the criminal network. On February 22, 2021, Emma was booked at the Alexandria Sheriff's Office in Virginia. Her mugshot went viral. She looked tired but determined, with dark circles under her eyes showing the stress of her arrest. The public was hooked on her trial, sparking debates about how involved she really was. Her arrest happened on the anniversary of her husband's capture, adding a dramatic twist that felt straight out of a movie. There were even rumors that she might be working with federal agents as she faced an uncertain future in jail. The case against her picked up steam when Damaso Lopez Nunez, a former cartel member, testified in a New York courtroom. He laid out how Emma played a key role in El Chapo's famous 2015 prison break. She handled communications, showed up at important meetings, and was crucial in getting a GPS-equipped phone to El Chapo in prison. which was vital for digging the escape tunnel. Despite the controversy swirling around her, Emma's story struck a chord with those who saw her as a product of her environment, pushed into cartel life from a young age. Yet she didn't play the victim card. Instead, she took control and admitted her part in her notorious husband's world by pleading guilty to all charges. She chose to skip a trial to avoid spilling even more personal details. Her sentence came quickly, 3 years in prison, then 4 years under close supervision. She's doing her time at Texas Federal Medical Center, Carswell, starting with a 14-day isolation, standard procedure for new inmates. Her lawyer, Mariel Colon, pointed out. This meant starting her sentence totally cut off, no visits, not even from her lawyers. After those first 2 weeks, Emma's new normal began. It included very occasional video calls and even fewer visits under tight security. She's scheduled for release on September 13th, but with good behavior she might get out earlier, maybe around May or June of that year. FMC Carswell, once an Air Force hospital, now serves as a prison primarily for non-violent, low-risk female inmates. It's got space for 1,237 women, with a full setup for everything from mail to medical emergencies, spread across 19 buildings. It has some famous residents, like Olympic athlete Marion Jones-Thompson and the tragic figure Lisa Montgomery, whose stories linger in the place. But despite all these facilities, it's still a prison, just dressed up to seem like something softer. When you walk in, you get an ID card slapped into your hand. It's got your photo and a number that follows you everywhere. This card isn't just for show. It lets you buy stuff from the prison store, up to $360 a month. Everything from snacks to electronics. Shopping time, only from 6 to 11 a.m. once a week. Outside, there's a veneer of normal life with sports, arts, and fitness activities, even aerobics. But no matter how much they try to make it feel normal with things like a running track and a library, it doesn't change the fact that it's a prison. For Emma Coronel Aspioro, tied to a notorious name, the next 34 months are set in this minimum security setup, always under the federal eye. After she gets out, she's looking at 4 years of being watched to make sure she stays on the straight and narrow.